Wrestling fans, before we get going with Wrestling Insiders, check this out from our friends.
Infinity Key, a truly natural online language training experience. 25,000 minutes, that's what you'll need to invest. Invest 25,000 minutes with Infinity Key, and we'll build you a portfolio of language experiences designed to accelerate your personal progress. The coach will help you strike the right balance between passive acquisition and active application of your target language. InvestKey's algorithms and coaches guide you along the clearest, quickest path forward on your journey to fluency. Visit www.infinitykey.rocks for more information and follow Infinity Key on Facebook at facebook.com/InfinityKey.
They're ready to take their rightful place amongst the literary greats. Who, you ask?
The New Day!
That's who. It's the Book of Booty. Shake it, love it, never be it. It's the feel-good story of the rise of the New Day. Loaded with games, trivia, coloring pages, and so much more. The Book of Booty. Shake it, love it, never be it. Available now online or wherever books are sold.
Wrestling fans, check out our friends at Performa's state-of-the-art WWE Superstar and Legends Shaker Cups. They're 100% leak-free and shatter-resistant, guaranteed. Mix your powder using Performa's patented action rod technology. Check out new Superstars just added to the collection at performabrand.com. I've had one on my desk every day since testing it out. Select your favorite WWE shaker. You'll be using yours every day, too.
See the moments.
Generation X invades WCW.
You'll always remember. Like never before.
Occupy Raw has taken over.
With Raw, the first 25 years, packed with rare photos, profiles of your favorite superstars, and so much more. From the very first Raw to the 25th anniversary, it's the ultimate guide to WWE's flagship show. Raw, the first 25 years. Available now. Boston, on Sunday, October 21st. It's the WWE Live Super Show with your favorite superstars from both Raw and SmackDown Live under one roof. See Roman Reigns collide with Braun Strowman in a thrilling main event. And AJ Styles takes on Daniel Bryan, Samoa Joe, and The Miz in a fatal four-way match for the WWE Championship. Plus, Ronda Rousey will be live in action as she battles Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. Don't miss the WWE Live Super Show, Sunday, October 21st. Tickets and VIP packages are available Friday, August 24th.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to a special installment of Wrestling Insiders. I'm Dan Marati, joined by a longtime MWF executive, one of the great wrestling fans I think I've ever met in my time, Mr. David Carter.
What's going on, everyone?
All the way up from Tampa, Florida for this one.
Yes, sir.
Big shoot.
Yes, sir.
Mr. USA Tony Atlas is on assignment. John Cena Sr. is trying to get his fall piece ready, so he's not with us. But Dave is here to talk about the latest news. An exciting season here in the world of professional wrestling. Some hot topics right off the bat. Some things I didn't even know before you arrived here at the studio.
Well, that's good. I brought the news, brought the gossip.
What do we got? What's the top headline?
Well, the first
Give me
one,
the CNN.
The first one is officials from WWE and Impact meet at the corporate office of WWE this past week, and I was wondering what you thought about that, because would you ever have thought Impact and WWE would be meeting together?
Where Impact is on the food chain right now, newsworthy, absolutely. Can TNA, I'm going to always call them TNA, aren't I?
Yeah.
It's just, I was probably saying WWF until 2014.
Yeah.
But can Impact benefit from a relationship with WWE? Sure.
Absolutely.
Could you see something interesting like maybe Impact pitch the idea of becoming almost a developmental territory for WWE?
Well, I was thinking it's more for something for the network. I don't know if it's going to be something with, you know what I mean, more like their video library and things like that, maybe.
That's the only thing they have of any value.
Well, they do have the global network too, their own network. So I want.
Well, I mean, come on.
Right, I know that, but I'm just saying, maybe it is. Maybe it's some developmental, but they also have been having really great program. I don't know if you've been watching it, but I've been tuned in, and I think the product's been great.
I will be honest, I have not watched it because I don't get that channel anymore at home. I used to be able to check it out here at the studio, but the good thing is, while I haven't seen it, and it doesn't really pique my interest,
wrestling fans are enjoying it. And that's the most important thing, is trying to generate as many eyeballs as possible that just don't watch it for free, but after they watch the program are enticed to buy a ticket, a T-shirt, order a pay-per-view. They have that, is it called the Global Wrestling Network now,
That's
their
what I was-
version
yes.
of WWE Network. So they're headed in the right direction. Is it too late for them? I mean, they're in a really bad position for a company that's now 16 years old.
They've been in a bad position forever, and they always seem to rise above it, though.
They survived going out of business, I don't know how many times.
Exactly.
Everyone wrote them off as dead, but you know what? They're still alive, so they still have some form of hope.
And then meeting with WWE, I guess, like you said, it's got to be a positive thing, so.
Well, WWE did license some footage from them for the Hardy Boys DVD,
Right.
so that opened up the relationship.
I'm just enticed to see what this is all about, honestly.
There is no wrestling company that would not benefit from being associated with WWE now.
I
I
totally
don't care
agree.
what anyone says.
Exactly. It's the biggest company in the world.
When I guess you'd call the third biggest brand in wrestling is NXT, that's a developmental territory compared to the A versions of these different promotions. But the world of wrestling right now, it's a very interesting landscape.
Definitely
I'd love
is.
to see something happen. I'd love to see if there is a way WWE could benefit TNA, Impact. Maybe instead of releasing guys, they try and work something out with an Impact group where the guys go forward. I remember, you're talking way back now in 1990, WWE did a mass layoff right before Survivor Series. They got rid of a ton of guys. And before that happened, they sent J.J. Dillon, who was the head of talent relations at that point, and Akio Sato, who was one half of the Orient Express. They sent them to Japan specifically to try and set up relations to give those guys that they were going to get rid of work.
So
Because
maybe
the house
that's it.
if you were a fan in late 1990 and went to some of the house shows, you deserve an award because they were atrocious. 1990 was a lousy year for WWF.
Well,
Yeah,
hopefully.
but it would be really cool to see that happen, I
Right.
guess, is the point that I'm trying to
And some
make.
of the guys, like you said, could be like a developmental or something.
Yeah.
Instead of just releasing them, have them work under the WWE.
I think as time goes on, and this is just a prediction, it's nothing I've been told, because I probably wouldn't say it out loud, but I think you're going to see different versions of the Performance Center in different places. And I think that would be a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just say you have a master plan, unless you have a true prodigy. Instead of just sending them to the Performance Center for a couple of years, do NXT for a year, then send them up to the roster, you could have them do NXT Florida for a year. You could have them do NXT California for a year. You could, they really seem to want to invest in Europe. You could have a Performance Center United Kingdom where they have
Oh,
the
definitely.
NXT UK now. So I'd like to see developmental similar to how baseball is set up. And you know I'm a big baseball fan.
Right.
I'd like to see the different layers of
and then people get called
platforms
up.
to
Yeah.
compete on for the guys,
And
I
people
guess
get
is the
called
best
up
way to
as
put it.
they-
Yeah,
yeah.
you know, double A, single A, triple A, and then you get called up to, some would say SmackDown could be looked at as the triple A, but obviously SmackDown, I think, is going to be the A show a year from now.
Which
Once
is crazy.
They start to get that Fox
That's
money.
unbelievable. That's unbelievable
The
to me.
Fox money.
But you know what? Honestly, just since we're on the subject, discussing, I think SmackDown's been the better show lately than Raw. The storylines have been a lot better. The wrestling's been a lot better.
SmackDown has been so much easier to sit through from beginning to end for years now.
Yeah. I mean,
I
yeah.
think good friend, MWF original, former MWF Tag Team Champion with Bo Douglas, the Road Dogg, has done a really good job in creative.
Definitely.
To think that guy was so low on the totem pole of life, having gone to jail, battling his various drug addictions, and now is one of the top-ranked officials in WWE.
And he's done a
It's an
wonderful job.
amazing story, and he's good at it.
Yeah,
He's
he's
a
done a
very
wonderful
creative guy, and I know that firsthand going back to some of the experiences we had with him in the MWF.
Let me ask you this. I was also reading that Paul Heyman's now on the writing for SmackDown, too. Is there any truth to that, or was that just
The only anything I could say that could be verified by someone in the know is that he had been on the road with them leading up to Lesnar's pay-per-views, because he basically books the promos and books the bullet points
Okay.
for how those feuds develop. Him having involvement with anything other than the Lesnar storylines or the guys that Lesnar's going to be working storylines, I haven't heard from anybody that that's true. Yeah, and I'll say this, I haven't had anyone tell me that it's not. All I know is that he is the booker, the writer, when it comes to Brock Lesnar's stuff.
Well, makes
He's
sense.
on
I
the
figured
road
I'd
full
ask.
time when that happens. I don't even know if him being at a SmackDown.
Yeah, I was just reading it, so I figured I'd ask the man.
Well,
So moving on, the 619 Rey Mysterio signs a 2-year deal today with WWE.
perfect. I don't know how else you can describe that. Perfect.
I think it's fantastic. I really do.
He's a guy that doesn't need to be on TV every week.
Nope.
He's a guy that needs to be on TV sporadically building up to a big pay-per-view, and they can get some real value if they send him out to some of the bigger house shows, and especially the international shows.
Oh, definitely. And he's not that old, right?
He's in his early 40s. But you have to remember, he worked a very hard style for a little tiny guy going back to, I think, the early 90s. I remember him around 93, at least hearing his name. And he was a teenager when he broke in. He's probably got maybe 5 years on me. But his body is much older than he is, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But one of the biggest kids' characters that they featured throughout the 2000s, it was a shame that it turned into the negative situation that it was. When it followed, I think, WrestleMania 30, they just threw him in the Battle Royal, and they had him kind of job out the next night on Raw, and
for him to come back,
they had conflict over when his contract was up.
And for him to come back, I feel like there's got to be something in place for him to want to be back because he was doing fine.
You want to know what it is?
What's that?
Big money.
Well, big money, but also him to have something of, like you were saying, some reason to come back also, you know what I mean? Not just for the money.
Well, if you're going to, he knows he's closer to the end than the beginning.
Right.
Where do you want to end? Do you want to be in somewhere in Mexico?
Well,
in a place with no air conditioning?
Like Matt Hardy.
Do you want to do independence? He made a very healthy chunk of change doing independence.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, WWE, it's even on a part-time contract with you throw in the merchandising and whatnot, he's going to be well into the seven figures in a very, I'm sure, part-time deal.
Right.
And again, you don't need him more than, I mean, like, people complain about Brock Lesnar, how he's used and whatnot.
I loved it.
I think it's used to perfection because it's always interesting when he's around. Yeah. He's not around every week, so you get excited to see him. How many guys in the WWE roster right now do you really want to see 52 times a year on free television?
I don't know.
They're watered down.
Well, a perfect example is, I mean, just to get off subject for a second, when Brock came to Hell in a Cell, people were actually cheering for that because they didn't expect him, and how awesome was that? So, I mean, it's proven what you're saying is not seeing him all the time, but then when he does appear, it was fantastic. That's why, like you said, I think it's perfect that he's not used all the time.
I think if you saw Roman Reigns on TV once or twice a month, I think the fans would like him more than they do, as opposed to it just being pushed upon them.
Right, because look at Raw this past week. You had the Shield, Seth and Dean and Dolph and Drew on how many times, how many segments? It was like unbelievable, just on one show, and now they're every week. It's like you said, it's going to get watered down.
We can launch into the current WWE after the break. I'm really interested to see where Mysterio's feuds go. If he's a guy that you're going to see for like the big 4 pay-per-views and some of the big international ones they're having, I think that's really all you need.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think so too. I mean, like you said, see where it goes and see what happens. And the only other one that I have is the Crown Jewel pay-per-view they're going to be doing in Saudi Arabia again. The rumored match is HBK and Triple H versus Undertaker and Kane. I was wondering what you thought about that.
Great. Never been done. It's original.
But how do you feel about them going over there and doing matches like that? You know what I mean?
Big matches?
Yeah.
It's great.
But do you think it hurts the product here in America? Because we don't get matches like that. Like, they're going to be doing Triple H versus Undertaker for the last time over there. Why not do it in America? That's,
Well, do you know how much more value those shows out of them than the B pay-per-views in the United States?
I'm just a hometown guy, so I feel like it should be here. But I get what you're saying, too.
I think you'll look back at those shows years from now as something memorable, and you won't even remember what the headline matches were for some of these pay-per-views.
Is that show's going to be at like 4 a.m.? Most people aren't even going to watch it at that time.
I watched the last one.
You might, but a lot of people aren't going to get up at 4 a.m. I will too.
The one in Saudi Arabia?
No, I'm talking about the Super Showdown.
Oh, in Australia.
Yeah,
okay. No, you know what? I may watch a little of it before I go to bed.
But I'm just saying, so for it to be so memorable over there, you got to watch it later on. I just feel like it should be at least at a different time, but it can't be.
First time they did that was on they did a July 4th show in Tokyo, and that was the first international one, that aired at a strange time.
Yeah.
The one in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, I think that started around noontime.
It did.
That was back in April. Okay, so I remember I watched most of that here at the studio before I went home.
And let me ask you one more thing since we're on the Saudi Arabia thing. How many shows are they planning on doing there a year?
Originally, I was told it was one.
Oh, wow. So
one a year for 10 years.
Wow.
For a monstrous.
So do you think they got even a monstrous more
better
amount for
deal
doing
than WrestleMania money?
So do you think they got even more money to do 2?
I don't know if that counts towards the 10,
or if they said, you know what, we'll do 2 a year now, where the first one was such a success. This is in a different city. It's not in
That
Jeddah,
is,
you know.
yeah, which is true. Okay.
So, I mean, it's going to be a spectacular event. It just shows the value of these events to the company, that they're going to take Shawn Michaels out of retirement after 8.5 years and have him wrestle in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I mean, how often have you seen Kane?
Right.
Now the
Now he's
mayor,
mayor.
down
Memphis.
in Tennessee. Yeah. No, Knoxville.
Knoxville, my bad.
Will it be memorable? Yeah. Would it have been better a decade ago? That's a different story for a different time.
Yep.
But I love those big international shows. I'll say this, I think they're going to run into that problem again where people are going to complain that, you know, about equality and whatnot, because there won't be any women's matches on the Saudi Arabia show. But I think it's a good thing.
Me too.
I have stated it before. I am not a huge fan of women's wrestling. I like good women's wrestling. I've referenced our situation in New Orleans. I remember I was sitting with you at that. And when we watched Charlotte and Asuka, when it was done, I remember saying to you, you know what? That wasn't a good women's wrestling match. That was a good wrestling match.
Right.
When I can see that, I don't have a problem with it. What I hate is when you put the women out there and they're supposed to be treated as equal and the offense is horrendous. Yeah. You see the offense that some of these women utilize. If the guys went in there and did it, they'd be crucified and they'd be out of a job. But because they're women, because they try hard and they try and do the moves, you know, everybody's going to have their turn with the women's belt, and we got to applaud them and we have to love them. And you know what? To me, it's overpushed and it's overdone. I'd rather see a limited amount of women, maybe just on the Raw brand where they have 3 hours. I'd like to see 1 hour of just the women every week, and that's it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I can't argue with you. It's true. Some matches are great, like you said, the one in New Orleans, but then some are, like you said, just like what's going on here.
The majority of them fall into that category. I like Charlotte. I like Asuka. I like Becky Lynch. I think Naomi's pretty good. I think Ember Moon's pretty good.
Yep.
But they did, we'll get into it after the break. I think it was a 6-woman, we'll call it. It's not a 6-man tag. We don't want to offend anyone.
Honestly, I don't mind Ruby Riott either. I think she's pretty good. From the Riot Squad.
Oh, okay.
I don't. The other two,
you know, she's got a really unique look.
Right, and that's what I mean.
The other, but the Riot Squad. What about them is riotous?
No,
that's almost an insulting name to have given them. It's so weak and piss poor, in my opinion. If you're going to have a Riot Squad, have them go out and cause a riot.
Well, since we're on this real quick, Alexa, she's not a great wrestler, but she's such a good promo that I think.
Oh, Alexa's my girl. Come on.
But you said she's not a great wrestler.
As far as her matches go,
so how
absolutely.
do you feel about watching her if she's not, you know, the matches, but because she builds it up good?
She has other attributes that make up for it.
Okay, leave it at that then. That's fine.
All right, so we've covered the headlines. We got to talk a little Hell in the Cell after the timeout. I hear the music. They're pumping it. Antonio's in the back. Cecil the Lion's avoiding arrows. All right, wrestling fans, going to take a brief timeout. All October, WWE is going to be all over New England. Get the scoop.
Portland on Saturday, October 20th.
Burn it down!
Experience WWE Live with an epic main event as Dean Ambrose returns to team up with Seth Rollins as they take on Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre in a tag team match. Plus, the B-Team and the Revival collide for the Raw Tag Team Championship. And don't miss Finn Balor and many more. It's WWE Live in Portland, Saturday, October 20th. Tickets and VIP packages are available.
Stephanie came in the dressing room where I would have had me in a dressing room where couldn't nobody see me. And that was my first time ever meeting her, but she said she met me when she was a little girl, but I can't remember. And treated me so nice, and they told me what they wanted to do. Even when I was doing it, I wasn't for sure what divas were. I slept in cars, all because I didn't have enough money to get myself a motel room. So they came back and they said, Baba said, please do the job for John Ace. I said, nope, I ain't doing it. And they Abdullah and them, come on, go on and do the job for it. It ain't gonna hurt you, go on and do the job. I said, fuck you too.
It's the biggest event in live entertainment.
Welcome to WrestleMania!
But it doesn't come together overnight. Now, we've chronicled the journey of this incredible in-depth look at the year-long life cycle of WWE's biggest event. Go behind the scenes and get the inside stories straight from some of WWE's biggest superstars with exclusive candid interviews you won't find anywhere else. Creating the Mania, an inside look at how WrestleMania comes to life. Available now.
Wrestling fans, welcome back. October is going to be an exciting month here in New England with all the big live events, television tapings we have going on. But I tell you, during that commercial break, I had to enjoy my Performer brand WWE Superstar Shaker. I have the Seth Rollins one. You have Brock. We have the Warrior. We have Sasha behind us. Go over to performerbrand.com. I think there's about a dozen different superstars and legends you can pick from. And they're great. I mean, since I started to use this one, I've had it at my desk every day.
Best thing, look at this, real quick. This is for the protein. You guys that go to the gym, you put your protein in there, shake it up. Can't beat it.
I put water in mine. He's on the gas, so he needs to put all the powder in it.
Don't listen to him. Nope.
But before we get going with some of the news, we want to remind you some of the big things happening here in the Millennium Wrestling Federation now through the end of September. We have the Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month drive with our good friend, the WWE Hall of Famer, Tony Atlas. We have a mega raffle going on where fans can win. It's probably $1,000 worth of prizes. You get a personal drawing of your choice where Tony Atlas will make you a wrestler, a family member if you send the photo in. You get a personal phone call from Tony. You get the 2018 WWE Backlash pay-per-view chair when WWE decided to extend the monthly pay-per-views to both brands. You have books, trading cards from our good friends at Topps. You have the Performer Shaker Cups. You get 4 different Performer Shakers. The new board game, Watch Your Mouth. I know you've been playing that with some of the women on Tinder, but that's a different story for a different time.
No, I haven't played it yet, but it looks like fun.
Check out BostonWrestling.com. Enter the raffle. If you're not a raffle type of guy or a raffle type of girl, we're going to have some great merchandise bundles as well. 100% of the net proceeds, we're going to donate to Connor's Cure this year to help out the little people. I'm very happy, and this is almost an understatement, that neither of the little Maraudis have ever been ill, and to think about what those poor little kids go through, I think it's nice. We can help out in a small way. Certainly not what WWE does. We're not WWE. We can't, but we can try.
Do the best you can, and you do a lot, Dan. You do.
Thank you.
You do a lot.
I have tried over the past 17 years. But 17 years, you're not going to have to wait that long. Friday night, October the 19th, the Hall of Famer is back, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Whether it's some of the psychological videos we've done, the foot videos we've done, looking back at the days of the WWF, looking back at Legends House, more recently the reality show on WWE Network, the Tony Atlas Memories and Legends series has been interesting. How about that? I don't always know if it's been good, but it's always been interesting. And Tony is going to be our Memories and Legends guest through the end of Season 2. Season 3, we have a couple of interesting topics with some new guests. We're going to be talking about that more as the winter goes on, but it's going to be all Tony every WWE pay-per-view weekend through WrestleMania. And on top of that, as part of the MWF's 17th anniversary, we're going to be launching a Patreon subscription channel starting at just $6. There's going to be 3 different tiers. There's going to be great rewards, great perks, great merchandise, great content. The people that don't like some of the YouTube versions of the show where they're kind of cropped and we have to give shout-outs to our great friends, everything on the Patreon is full screen. Full screen. There's no YouTube ads or anything to interrupt you as you watch it. Not only do you get these talk shows, but you get the MWF Studio Shoot Interview DVDs complete, ad-free, full screen. MWF Wrestling, our great library of the superstars and legends of yesterday, today, and tomorrow for as little as $6 a month. You're helping support independent wrestling, and you're helping us give you more great content. I always get the emails. We want to see fill in the blank at the studio. Do a shoot with him. I'd love to hear a female version with her. If you support the cause, you know, this isn't free for us. When the superstars come in, you're talking about appearance fees, hotels, airfare, all kinds of accommodations, food. We have a giant support staff here at the studio. If you can help, even if you test it out for a couple of months, you're going to get great rewards for doing so. We're really going to pump it hard once it's officially launched. We're going to do a soft launch right around our anniversary weekend on September the 28th. So did I get enough cheap plugs in?
Oh, you did a great job. Make sure you sign up for the Patreon, though. It'll help out a lot so you can get the stars that you want to see here in the MWF.
And don't forget our good friends at WWE Live. The graphic is rolling if you're watching the YouTube version. You have Bangor on Friday, October the 19th. Portland and Hartford on Saturday, October the 20th. Boston, the Super Show with superstars from both Raw and SmackDown, including Ronda Rousey on Sunday, October the 21st. And then it culminates with the big one.
Providence.
You and Quincy's favorite arena.
Yes, definitely.
The Dunkin' Donuts Center.
Yes.
Providence, Rhode Island, Monday Night Raw live. And that's pretty recent. When was the last Raw? It was around Christmas time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. When they announced that they were going to have the women's Royal Rumble, I should say, right before you headed south. So a lot of WWE wrestling coming your way in October. I know a lot of the diehard fans that used to enjoy the monthly events miss it. So get in as many events as you can that weekend.
Definitely.
Could be the last time for many of those venues in 2018.
Until next year, yeah. I totally agree.
So we got Hell in the Cell.
Yes,
Mixed
we did.
reviews on our polls over at MWF Project X.
What was the final result?
I was kind of surprised. I think it finished thumbs in the middle.
I give it that. I liked it, but yeah, thumbs in the middle's fair, I think.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
7.
I was at a 7 for it. Wait, the lights just went out in the other room. I hope our crew isn't getting a little frisky back there. Have to see if Gary's roaming around. That's a different story for a different time. But yeah, I liked Hell in the Cell. I enjoyed the show. I wasn't. There was a little bit of a lull with the Ronda Rousey match, and I think that went right after the Daniel Bryan match. Those two in a row.
Oh, the Daniel Bryan, I could have done without.
But the first few matches of the show were very good.
Fantastic.
And I understand that people didn't like the finish of the main event, but it was designed to build to something bigger. And I liked it. Back in the day before pay-per-view came around, when you'd have your monthly shows at, just say, Madison Square Garden or the Boston Garden, for example, to build to certain rematches or bigger feuds, there were times when your main event would go to a double count-out, a double disqualification, or some sort of a fuck finish.
Right.
We're blunt here. I think mostly men are watching
it's the
this.
Truth.
And that's what they had to do. Roman isn't losing the belt this soon.
Right.
And Strowman certainly shouldn't be taking a pinfall.
No.
So I thought they had a lot of bells and whistles involved, which was good. I liked the addition of Foley. I think that gave it a more main event credibility. And I thought the run-in by Lesnar and Paul Heyman.
And Foley looked good. He looked really good.
I'll go to as far as to say I don't even think you needed the Shield and Ziggler and McIntyre.
No, it just got it got a little too much, but at the same time, I thought it was good. It didn't take away from it at all, I don't think. Because people on top,
I don't think it needed
because
it.
they got on top of the kid, did all that with it, and I think that added to this, to the whole match. Because people how it is. People love the people on top of the cage, and oh my God, what's going to happen? Whenever there's a cage involved, most of the time someone's going off it. So having that, people love it.
I think it would have been cool in a sense if they didn't do it this year. Then next year, if they went back to having someone do the big spot through the table, I think it would have even got a bigger reaction. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't anything I rolled my eyes at. I just said when it was done, there was so much going on, I don't think you really needed it.
Yeah, I could go that way too with it. Let me ask you this. What'd you think of the red cage?
If there was blood, I would not have liked it. Where we are right now with it being the quote-unquote PG era, I really liked it.
I thought it was cool.
I don't know if
that
makes any sense.
No, I totally get it, and I thought it was kind of cool. It was different. Usually you're used to seeing the silver cage, and that's it. This was nice red. It was like, wow, okay.
I had to let it sink in a minute. The day before on Twitter, they had a live feed where you could watch them build it.
When I seen it, I was like, oh my God, that was the first time is when I was watching the event.
Oh, when you watched the show?
I thought it was cool. I thought it was definitely different.
It was different. And you know what? Sometimes things need to be different. Maybe mix it up a little bit more than the old school steel cage that we don't see as much anymore.
Right.
But yeah, it was a different effect. And I'll tell you this, I thought the other Hell in the Cell match was absolutely phenomenal. Again, the finish on that one, I think Jeff Hardy held on a little too long for it to have made sense when he had 2 seconds to look down and see there was no one on the table and then
hang there and
fly.
fall.
But what a phenomenal risky spot.
Right, and he fell through the table. And the thing is, I think it took a little too long for Randy to react to pin him too, because remember the ref was getting over him and say, trying to say, leave him alone, enough.
Yeah.
And then finally pinned him for the 3. But either way, I know what you're saying. He did hang on.
That's quite a drop.
Yeah.
Especially for a 41-year-old man.
Yeah. Oh, he's been.
And, I don't know if it makes sense, but I still think Randy Orton is one of the most underrated guys in WWE history. And you're going to say, I know people will type in the responses, how can you say that? He's what's he held? World championship a dozen times?
Oh, yeah.
In that ballpark. I don't know off the top of my head. It's been quite a few. But this is a guy, no matter where you look at in his reign, from when he came in 2002 to the present, the only block of time I can think when he wasn't exceptionally good in the ring was the nonsense they did with Bray Wyatt last year. That horrible match at WrestleMania, which Randy has buried himself.
Yeah.
And the haunted house match they did, which was, I don't know what on earth they were thinking when they came up with that concept.
Exactly. And I think it could have been good, them two. But like you said, the haunted house, all that stuff, it didn't appeal to, I think, most of the people that were watching that storyline take place.
I thought the build to Orton and Wyatt was exceptionally good.
But
the payoff was just, that match at WrestleMania in Orlando was just.
You didn't like the lights going on, the things? No. Me either.
Because it's just.
It was too much.
It was way. I don't want to get started because I'll go off on a tangent. But Randy Orton, I can't think of any match he's had.
And I think he's doing some of his best work right now. This storyline he's doing with Jeff, I think is some of his best work ever. It's unbelievable. Storytelling, it's fantastic.
What did you think of him sticking the screwdriver through the ear?
You know what's funny is when I seen the toolbox and all the screwdrivers fall out, I was like, he's going to use that and put it through his head just because he's been putting his finger. And sure enough, when he did and they went right close with the camera, I got a little, whoa, I had to look away just because he was wrenching on that thing.
Isn't it funny? Blood never bothered me.
No.
But I thought that was kind of gross.
Right.
With the ear and the screwdriver.
It was, 100%. It was.
I'd love to know what the crack crew in the back is thinking about that. They're probably saying, what are they talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Sticking a screwdriver through the guy's ear? You'll have to watch WWE Network on that. But I thought the match was really good.
Definitely.
Really good.
Yeah.
And I liked that feud. I liked that version of the feud back in 2008. I thought it was pretty good.
Oh, definitely.
When there was a lot of people in that company that were behind Hardy getting the belt and ruining the WrestleMania 24 plans. But then Jeff wound up with one of his drug suspensions and he didn't even compete at WrestleMania 24 that year. But good work all around in the 2 cell matches. I think all those feuds are going to continue, even though the cell was kind of constructed to be the blow-off of certain feuds. What else did we see on that pay-per-view that you liked?
I mean, when I'm looking over, what did you think of the Seth and Dean versus Dolph and Drew match?
That was really good.
Yeah,
that was
I
a good
so
tag team match.
Yeah.
They worked really well together. I think WWE is going to be able to continue to print money when it comes to the Shield.
Oh, yeah.
The fans absolutely love them. It helps Roman a bit with the diehard fans because the diehard fans don't want to boo the other two.
When they're all together,
Right. So it's a good idea. I think Strowman going heel in that feud was absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
They were beginning to sports entertain him as a babyface.
The only thing with that is
he was losing credibility.
But they worked so hard to make him it was Braun Strowman. They worked so hard to make him a face, to turn him like that. It was just out of the blue, you know what I mean?
Where was his turn babyface? It never really happened. There really wasn't one moment when he turned babyface.
I don't know.
The fans just kind of gravitated to him, and they just started to use him in a role more as a babyface.
I feel like it's the same thing with Ryback. He never got turned to babyface. He just was a babyface, and then they turned him heel. Just same thing with Braun. Braun was a babyface, and then they turned him heel.
Well, he turned heel this go-around, but what I'm talking about over the past year, when he was a heel that kind of morphed into a babyface.
So you're saying before when, okay, I get
There wasn't that one moment that said, okay, you were a heel, now you are a babyface. It was just kind of a gradual thing based on fan reaction.
I understand
and
what
I
you're saying.
think as a babyface, he's been weak. I think it's taken away from his intensity. I think it's made him less of a monster and more of a joke. I don't think he's the type of guy you want the fans to laugh at.
Personally,
Can he do some funny things that the fans laugh with? Sure. But when you're laughing at the guy, it devalues them.
Right. And personally, I don't think he needed the briefcase. I honestly didn't. I think that was, he didn't need it. He's a monster.
Well, notice they got rid of it pretty quick.
Right. And I just felt like that he didn't need it. He's a monster. That's his gimmick. A monster.
He didn't need that win.
And I didn't think so. He didn't need it.
They could have gotten someone else over with it more.
I honestly think if they let KO beat him some way for that briefcase, I think KO would have done a much better job with the briefcase because he's just funny. He's a funny guy. I think it would have been good. But that's me. Hey, we're not going to agree.
No, there's a lot that you and I aren't going to agree
Exactly.
on. But Strowman as a heel, I love it.
Oh, me too. I think
The
it's
way
awesome.
he's used right now is the way to go.
Right.
And I'll tell you this, the fans that are going to cheer for him are still going to cheer for him, and they're still going to buy his T-shirts and his merchandise.
Now, you think Dolph and Drew are going to be something with him for a long time, or do you see that?
You know, it's kind of an odd grouping.
I thought so, too.
I thought Ziggler and McIntyre were an odd grouping.
And that
but
visual they
kinda-
showed on Raw the other night, Drew's like right there with Braun. Like they didn't look too different like on the screen. It's crazy how big Drew is. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
he's
the visual.
deceptionally big. I've met him in person a couple of times, and he towered over me. And as you know, I'm a reasonably sized person.
Yeah, oh,
he's
definitely.
a big guy.
Yeah, I thought it was good visual. I mean, it like you know, I think it's a cool thing they're doing right now, but I hope it doesn't last. Like just let Braun go be that monster heel. He doesn't need anybody else.
And this is funny. Usually at this point, I give Little Marathi the scoop on what the top half of the WrestleMania lineup is going to be. I did that. I remember, what was that movie with the clown last year that came out? It.
Oh,
Right
yeah.
after that came out, I remember telling him, do you want to know what the top 5 or so matches are going to be at WrestleMania? And he liked having the scoops. I really don't know what they have planned next year, which is kind of interesting. But I'd like to think, unless they go inside the celebrity guest type or the veteran alumni, like a Goldberg or a Rock or someone like that, wouldn't it be good to see Roman defend the championship against McIntyre, where he's gone through, I think, every other possible heel there could be
Absolutely.
on the Raw side?
Absolutely, I love it. I think that's great. I didn't even think about that, but now that you're just throwing, absolutely.
Who else do you got?
And the thing is Drew's proven himself. He's
Yeah.
a monster. He's awesome. He's just an awesome character. Looking at him and just seeing him speak and everything, he's awesome.
He has started to fulfill the prophecy that Vince McMahon had for him earlier in the decade when they gave him the Intercontinental title right off the bat. And he never got over being that version of him. Simple explanation is a guy that needed more time in the developmental system before he got called up. But they were just, in that time period,
They didn't have
they
NXT.
castrated themselves when it came to their developmental for about 10 years.
Right, they didn't have the thing like NXT to get
Right.
the guys ready. Now that they do, Drew went there for a little bit, came up to the main roster, and he's been awesome. He's
Yeah.
been fantastic up there.
Yeah, I mean, if he worked Roman at WrestleMania, would that be your main event, even though it's the title match? No.
Well,
it's
so
not your money match.
If you get there, do you see Drew winning the Royal Rumble, or you just see that being a match?
I'd have him win the Royal Rumble just to give him that much credibility.
Okay.
I like that the Royal Rumble, especially now we have 2 different titles, you can go with a guy that isn't exactly like I'll give you an example, the 2000, what year was WrestleMania 28? 2012?
Yeah.
In Miami? When Sheamus won the Rumble, I think that gave him the credibility, and it didn't take away anything from the other main event matches and the, I can't even remember which heavyweight title. What was it? The WWF
Yeah,
Championship?
it was
He
the
wrestled for the world
world
title
title.
against Bryan.
The solid gold one.
And the WWF title was CM Punk and
Right, the
Jericho.
old WCW
Right,
one.
and I think you gave Sheamus that credibility
Right.
by having him win it, even if he wasn't one of the elite guys on the roster at
It's just
that
different.
point. Yeah,
and I like that. I totally agree. Moving on, Samoa Joe and AJ Styles for the WWE Championship.
You know, I hate to say it, but just like the Nakamura matches, to me it hasn't reached the level I thought it might. Does that make
Really?
any sense?
I mean, me personally, the story for it has been fantastic, and I thought the match was really good. I think Joe getting on the mic and just going hard on him, I think it's fantastic. But like you're saying, I mean, I guess the matches haven't been as good, but I thought this was a great match by Joe. He looked really good for a big guy, man. He looked really good with AJ.
I think the promos have been better than the matches. I think the placement of the matches on the pay-per-view is taken away from it to a
right.
degree.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I think they should be higher on the card.
And I did really like the finish.
Yeah.
I thought and it continues the feud in a logical way, as opposed to just saying, all right, they're having another rematch in a few weeks in Melbourne, Australia, in front of 75,000 people. You have a finish where there could be some dispute, and you have more interest in it that way. I'd like to see them main event a show. I'd like to see them go on last.
Right.
I think that was part of the problem with Styles and Nakamura. I don't remember if they went on last on any of their long series of
No,
matches.
because WrestleMania and then the next card, no.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
So no.
I think maybe, to me, that would have it mean more if they were put in the main event slot.
Yeah, I totally agree because, I mean, like they did. They put Seth and Dolph for the IC title on the main event. Why not give it to Joe and AJ this time for the WWE? You know, I totally agree. I don't see why they wouldn't do it. You know, I mean, it makes sense.
What did you think of the Rousey match?
I think she's getting better every time she's in the ring. But that's me. I know you have a thing with women's wrestling. We were going over that. But I think she's getting better in the ring every time she goes.
You know, it's funny. A friend of mine outside of wrestling that's a very, very, you know, Monday Night Wars, he was a big fan.
Yeah.
Casually will watch it now. And to him, it's a credibility thing where he doesn't take it seriously. How are any of these girls going to last more than 30 seconds with her in the ring?
I mean, that is a good point. But at the same time, I think you're supposed to not look at it like that. I don't think you're supposed to look at her like that.
You can really look at Alexa Bliss as a credible challenger to Rousey.
Well, that's the thing is I think if she plays the sneaky heel with it and do like the little things here and there, like have Mickey get involved, do those little things, I think it works. Now, if she's going to go toe-to-toe, not so much, but also you're supposed to think of it as a match. So maybe, it's like anything.
All right. Sunday, October the 28th, when Rousey defends the title against Nikki Bella, would that go longer than 20 seconds, realistically?
No.
That should be Ultimate Warrior Honky Tonk Man from SummerSlam
Yes,
88.
I totally agree, but I think that's a different level. I think Nikki isn't on Alexa's level. I think Alexa's a lot more believable as a wrestler than Nikki is, and she always, I think, has been. She's gotten better, but she's not.
Oh, better?
She's gotten better, Dan. I'm telling you, go look at some of those matches from the past and then look at, she's gotten better. I'm not saying she's better, good, but she's gotten better. She's actually, you're not going to hate it if you see her.
I do.
Well, you do on a lot of girl matches that I know
no,
a lot of fans.
I especially hate watching anything to do with
Hey,
them.
I've talked to you many times, and I know your opinion about the women wrestling. You won't give any of them benefit of the doubt.
Sure, I will.
4 of them you named.
All right, and that's...
And how many there are?
I could go to maybe 6 or 8, and that's it.
Okay, well, that's you. Like you said.
I want the ones that can go in there, and you don't know the difference between a guy and a girl.
All right, so then what about...
they want to be called superstars. I want them to go in there and compete and have it look like the guys.
Okay, well then this way, just out of the blue, Charlotte and Ronda. Charlotte should lose then. The way you're thinking, Ronda should be able to beat Charlotte. And I think Charlotte's bigger than Ronda.
Okay, so. I'll go with that. You'd think, okay, Rousey should take her out pretty quick.
Well, because the way
I'll say this to make it logical from the storyline of the match. They have presented Charlotte as an exceptional athlete, both in wrestling and both before she got into the wrestling business.
Right.
I think volleyball she was really big in. So could she put up a better fight than like a Bliss? I would say yes. Would it be long? I would say no. I would go as far as to say, I think you're old enough to remember this, I would book Rousey similar to how Mike Tyson was in the late 1980s. When he gets in there and he beat the piss out of someone, and it was usually over in the first round, because then once you get to that point where she has a real challenger and a real threat, I think then you have your money match.
Well, you just hit it. What happened to Mike Tyson? He got beat by Buster Douglas.
He got killed by some jobber.
Right. So there's your answer. Alexa has a chance. If you're going to go that, you just named it, so she could.
But I'd like to see a good 20 pay-per-view defenses.
I totally get it.
And I think I said this to you, as the match ended in New Orleans, as much as I liked it, they shot themselves in the foot having Asuka lose. That WrestleMania, what's next year, 35, should have been the title and the streak of Asuka against Royal Rumble winner Ronda Rousey. That match would have had so much interest in it. And you know what? When you really build up a good winning streak for someone, you should have a good idea to end it. And I don't think having the second match on WrestleMania end the streak the way it did is almost it was an afterthought.
I think WWE seen dollar signs with Ronda and just had to have her go through this like she's doing, just running through it.
Yeah, but Asuka was wrestling for the SmackDown title.
Right.
It had nothing to do with Rousey.
Well, because you said you want to see Rousey win the Royal Rumble, which means she wouldn't be champion yet, right? Or are you saying...
What I would have done, if it was me, I would have Rousey win the Rumble in January and have her decide she wanted to be, her thing be, you know what? I've gone through everyone on Raw. Asuka, I want your title. And not only do I want your title, I'm going to end your streak in New York.
Right, and she hasn't.
I think that would have been huge.
With her winning the Rumble, you're saying she hasn't won the championship at all yet.
Correct.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying is I think WWE sees, the dollar signs in Ronda being champion now because.
Do you think she has more value as a champion than not? I don't think it really makes a difference.
I think the social media wise. Because people look at ESPN, they're doing it like it's a baseball game, a football game, like a headline, like a thing on the bottom is Ronda Rousey wins WWE Women's Championship. You know what I'm saying? That's like a headline now, so they want that. That's the only way I can see them reason why they're doing it. You know.
Well, there's much more that goes on in the world of WWE than what they present in their wrestling matches on television. You're 100% right about that, but I just think that was the way to play it out. I can't think of anything they can offer right now that would have played out better than what I just suggested.
I think that's fantastic, what you said.
Even if she goes with Charlotte and wins the Rumble and she challenges Charlotte, just say, for the SmackDown title, to me that doesn't have as much interest as a woman from Japan that wrestles a great style, that she would have been undefeated at that point, 2 or 3 years?
Right.
Going for not only the title, but going to end the streak. I think that really would have been interesting.
Oh, I think so too. I totally do.
But you won't believe it. They didn't call me and ask for my opinion. I don't know what's going on, little Mr. Carter.
They should have. They should have definitely done that. I definitely would have. I think that would have. The anticipation for that would have been great. And if they ever did, I know you're so against it, but if they ever wanted to do a women's main event at WrestleMania, which they're saying they're going to do someday, that would have been something they could have done.
I don't know.
I know you don't see it.
Here's the thing. I'm going to take away my genuine interest as someone that likes wrestling and look at it from a business point of view. I can't think of the match they could present that would be main event worthy.
Something like that?
The match that they can't do.
Right. Well, something like that. I'm saying, but something like that with the story. I'm not saying it has to be that, but you don't think
of anyone they have right now.
You don't think of Ronda and Charlotte with a great storyline behind it could? No?
On top of the guys? No.
No?
No.
Okay. Hey, I mean, that's opinion. I just was asking, throwing it out there.
I think it's great that they have in their own pay-per-view.
Right.
I think there's a lot of fans out there that do enjoy seeing the women, and I think it's great they're going to have their own night. Like I said, as much as I personally don't enjoy watching the women's wrestling, I want to see it succeed for the health of the business and for it to create more jobs and to create more events. We're seeing an extra pay-per-view now as a result of this. It's a good thing for the industry overall, the health of the industry. I'm one person. I'm not the grand scheme of things when it comes to that company and what they're trying to sell to the general public. And I think an all-women show for an hour would really go a long way. I think it would make those women seem very special in the eyes of the fans, as opposed to usually being put in afterthought situations.
I mean, I think they're getting closer with the Mae Young Classic, things like that, to see how that does, and then from there, maybe they will. I mean, had to set someone, look what they did with the UK. Now that it's their own brand, they're doing it in the UK now, you know? It started off with the UK tournament.
I hate to say it, but this has nothing to do with what we've been talking about, but there's just too many titles.
Yeah, that's it.
I couldn't even tell you the name of the women's champion in England. Do you know what it is?
Yeah, it's...
Unbelievable. So that's why we have you on here.
I can't...
Who needs me and Tony Atlas when we have that vault of knowledge? Well, he's forgot, so I'm just going to talk over him and pretend like he actually knows what the answer is. And we'll move on to the next subject.
Rhea...
Perlman?
No, Rhea's...
Not Rhea Perlman.
No.
She's not with George and she is? No, on the Bullfinch
I can't think of it. Rhea's... I can't say...
Oh, that's perfect. I hear the music playing right now. We're going to take a brief time out when we come back. Talk a little bit more about the happenings in the world of professional wrestling. Before we go, stand by. Well, Tony, we have a lot of fun when we do these shows, but we're going to be a little bit serious for a minute. September, it's widely known, it's Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. Here in the Millennium Wrestling Federation, we've been known for our drives. We do a great toy drive every year, and we do one for Make-A-Wish around WrestleMania time. But, you know, whether it was inspired by the Jimmy Fund's annual August telethon that they have at Fenway Park, what WWE has done with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon with Connor's Cure, I thought, you know what, the kids mean a lot to me. You know, WWE, they do a lot with Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but the kids, you know, they're part of the core of why this industry exists, to put smiles on faces. And, you know, when you see video footage of some of these kids that have been stricken with such a horrible disease at such a young age, it made us want to take action. So you, myself, Dr. David Reese, a lot of our friends that are going to be participating, Topps baseball cards, a lot of great vendors. WWE themselves are going to be donating some great items to this raffle. It's going to go on through the month of September with the winner being announced on the 30th. Check out some of the prizes we have. We'll be right back.
Wrestling fans, whether you're around the corner or halfway around the world, you can enter into our Pediatric Cancer Awareness Mega Raffle, where one lucky fan wins an entire jackpot of prizes. The winner will have Tony Atlas create them a one-of-a-kind drawing of the person or people of their choice, plus a personal phone call from Tony himself. You'll get a 2018 WWE Backlash pay-per-view chair, not one but 2 boxes of WWE Topps trading cards, that include WWE Autograph Guaranteed.
Fans, if that wasn't enough, our Corner's Cure Mega Raffle jackpot includes autographed WWE NXT posters of Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano, Aleister Black, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly of the Undisputed Era. EC3, Ethan Connor III, and Nikki Cross. Also from our acclaimed Studio Shoot interview series, DVDs of the late Vader, the Boogeyman, Tony Atlas, and the one heard by millions around the world online and on the Howard Stern Show, the legendary Iron Sheik.
But there's more. We have the autobiographies of The New Day, Chris Jericho, and Daniel Bryan. The former Shakers of Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Ultimate Warrior, and Sasha Banks. The new WWE Watch Your Mouth game, WWE Superstar and Bella Twin Cold Cups, much more to be added. We also have merchandise bundles that will be available for purchase online as well. Visit bostonwrestling.com to help the cause today.
The Queen showing no signs of slowing down.
Charlottesville on Sunday, October 14th. WWE Live returns with a massive main event. Witness WWE Champion AJ Styles team up with Jeff Hardy to battle United States Champion Shinsuke Nakamura and Samoa Joe in a tag team match. Plus,
Mella is money.
see Carmella collide with Asuka for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And don't miss Charlotte Flair and The New Day Live. It's WWE Live in Charlottesville on Sunday, October 14th. Tickets and VIP packages are available.
Wrestling fans, welcome back to Wrestling Insiders. I'm Dan Roddy, joined by longtime MWF associate, one of the great wrestling fans you'll ever meet if you see him out on the road, Mr. David Carter.
How you guys
New
doing out
Hampshire's
there?
finest.
That's right.
A man, when he goes to Dunkin' Donuts, let me tell you, fans, he doesn't get a coffee. He likes a little hot chocolate. But that's a different story for a different time. Again, the commercials on these shows, Mr. Carter, are usually of great interest to wrestling fans,
Yes.
whether it be books, live events. You know, it's not the typical stuff when you watch a TV show.
No, not at all.
We like to get our friends over if they can help us out, especially our good friends at
WWE.
performerbrand.com. I had a little ice cold water in my cup during the commercial break under these hot studio lights, even though the summertime is coming to an end. For the 17th anniversary of the MWF, we're going to be doing the initial launch of the Patreon channel for as little as $6 a month.
Sign up.
Huge rewards, content like you won't believe. The Iron Sheik Studio Shoot interview DVD. 3 hours, full screen, ad-free,
That's
insanity.
worth it alone. I've seen it. It's worth it. That's worth it alone. Definitely.
Do you know the superstar that helped technically direct that shoot? What would you say if I told you that we're our good friend in there who we'll call Antonio, Warbeard Hanson,
Really?
was changing the camera shots for a while during that shoot?
Go figure.
Isn't
I
that
had
something? You didn't
that's
know that?
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And look where he is now.
Look where he is
That's-
now. Wow, my buddy. We'll talk about him as time goes on, but we'll be having the Patreon. Believe me, like I said, we're going to be pushing that hard because when you guys help us, wait till you see the content we're going to bring you. We're not looking for riches. We're just looking to eat. And the rest of it is going to go into live wrestling events and in-studio shoots for you guys to enjoy. And, of course, the Connors Cure Patriotic Cancer Awareness Month drive. It's an important thing. We got some great prizes, some great merchandise, a super raffle, and of course, come on down to the studio live, free admission, Friday night, October the 19th. It's the man that's always stepping in the right direction, the Hall of Famer Tony Atlas. Right there, baby.
Yes. Tony Atlas coming in. It's
Maybe
worth
even
it.
a special appearance by David Reese,
Oh boy.
the Doctor of Desire himself.
You're in for something special if he comes down too.
All right, well, I think we've got all our cheap plugs in. For even more cheap plugs, head on over to bostonwrestling.com or join over 50,000 fans on Twitter at MWF Project X. I think I've
Awesome.
covered it all now.
Definitely.
All right, now back to the world of WWE. What do we got? Two big nights of
Monday
television.
Night Raw.
Trying to pitch three.
SmackDown Tuesday.
Trying to pitch three pay-per-views at the same time. That's a challenge.
It is.
That's a challenge.
I couldn't believe it when they did it, but hey, they're doing the best they can, right?
I would have held off on the Crown Jewel
It's
main
almost
event
hard
yet.
to, though. It's right after. Plus, you gotta. And you know what's weird is they haven't really talked about Evolution.
This week, no. They kind of
Yeah, it's like they went away from
subdued that one.
Yeah.
They have so many things they're trying to pitch at the same time. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's interesting and it's fun, but I think to the casual fan that doesn't watch it or follow it as much as us,
They
maybe
would be
someone that
lost.
tunes in once a month, they must have sat there and have been like, what?
What is going on?
October 6th, Australia. November 2nd, Saudi Arabia. October 28th, Long Island, New York. The women's pay-per-view, the Australian pay-per-view, the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Hell in the Cell,
So-
they had a pay-per-view last night.
Yeah.
They have a
It's-
women's tournament on Wednesday night.
What a time to be alive for
Our
wrestling
Cruiserweight
fans.
Championship show was on Tuesday, and now it's on Wednesday
Wednesdays
night.
at 7.
Total Divas is back. Not mixed martial arts.
What's that show
Mixed
called?
Match Challenge.
Mixed Match Challenge is back. I mean, it was a lot of stuff to promote.
And you still have NXT on Wednesday nights, too.
Well, nothing has changed with that.
No, but it's just
That's
all
the
this wrestling.
That's the Wednesday night
Yeah,
Raw.
it's unbelievable. What a time to be alive if you're a wrestling fan, right?
A lot of people say that.
Yeah.
And I disagree
love
with
it.
them.
It's
I
true.
do disagree with them.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting time to be a wrestling fan. I'm very happy that independent wrestling has started to rise from the ashes like the phoenix in Greek mythology. But I look at WWE, and the greatest barometer of their success to me is live attendance.
Yeah.
How many fans are going out to the arena to spend the money? The attendance is fine. It's not bad.
It's not what
I
it
wouldn't
used to
call
be.
it good.
No, it's not what it used to be, that's for sure.
You have TV ratings that continue year by year, pretty much continue to go down or stay steady.
I think they're
not growing anyone.
No, I think where they are is pretty much where they're going to be for a long time.
When NXT goes outside of Florida for the tours, they can be kind of hit or miss attendance-wise. You know, there are smaller buildings, 2,000 or 3,000 venues. They can sell them out.
Well, I wasn't here for Lowell because I was in Tampa, Florida, like we talked about. How was the Lowell show?
Lowell was almost completely sold out.
So there you go.
If
So it
that
depends
wasn't
on the market.
95% full, it was pretty close.
See,
they did
it's good.
really good. The last time they were in Lowell, not so much. So like I said, NXT can kind of fluctuate a little.
And that's the thing, is living in Florida, when I went shows, I think people see it so much that it's not sold out. It's definitely...
Oh, they didn't have to go out of their way because they knew it would be
that's what
coming
you're saying
back
with
soon.
the market. So, yeah, it totally makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah, as far as non-WWE stuff, you have Ring of Honor right now. They've gained tremendous popularity in recent times.
Unbelievable.
Sold out Madison Square Garden the day before WrestleMania. But at the same time, for their regular shows,
Not so much, man.
1,000, 1,500 people.
Right.
They've been in business 16 years now. I don't think that's anything to write home about.
No.
They still don't have a nationally televised show where you can say, watch Channel X.
What's crazy about that is
Tuesday
they have a
nights at
nationally
8 o'clock.
brand, though, that supports them with Sinclair Brown.
Well,
I don't understand why they
It's
don't.
confusing.
It is.
It just shows that Sinclair really doesn't believe that much in them to try and come up with
Something.
a national platform for them at the same time each and
And
every
do you
week.
think if they did, do you think it'd be successful?
No.
No? Okay.
I just, maybe we can talk
But
about
I
Ring
just-
of Honor more in depth.
Yeah.
There is nothing about it that excites me. There's not enough, I don't think the storylines, what they do have, are that good or that exciting. They have a lot of good wrestlers. They have a lot of good wrestling. But that's it. The
But see,
presentation
that's
to
exactly
me is
what you
very
said.
boring and very
it's
bland.
wrestling. It's not storyline based so much. It is wrestling, and that's the reason why, and that's the hardcore fans. That's why when All In sold out, because it's the hardcore fans. There was no storylines for any of those matches, but it sold out, did really well, And that's the way. And me and you, we look at the storylines with it. That's why.
All In was just one of the tremendous hype jobs, and not in independent wrestling, in wrestling.
Yeah.
We can talk about that next week maybe,
Yeah.
but I thought All In, I didn't particularly, for everything I liked, there were probably two things I didn't like on that show itself. Well, like I said, we can talk more about that, but the job they did presenting it, exceptional. And I'm
A+.
very proud of everyone involved. I wish I was there. I would have liked to
Me
have been
too.
involved in
Oh,
that
I
convention.
wanted to go.
Maybe next year, if they do it, we can head out there. But Impact Wrestling, we spoke about that. A company 16 years. They do have a national television slot that means virtually nothing because they don't make anything off of the television commercials. They're basically trying to live off of the international deals. They're still, I think, with Spike over in Europe, maybe if things go well there, they can get Spike back in the United States or Paramount Network, whatever it's called now.
Paramount, yeah.
But again, to me, the independent wrestling is what's hot. Even shows now with no nationally recognized talent is doing enough to eat off of.
Yeah, very well.
And that's a great thing. And I'll tell you this, and I'm sure he won't get the credit where credit is due, but every independent wrestling promotion that's doing well and doing decent crowds should thank Triple H for what he's done with NXT, because that is the
Totally
man,
agree.
that is the brand that made independent wrestling cool again.
Oh, yeah,
And I don't,
I totally
people
agree.
can, I would argue that point to the death.
I totally agree. You're not going to argue with me. You're not going to hear nothing from me. I think it's totally the truth. 100%.
You still have, outside of WWE, you're talking about national promotions that still have guys and girls that have to have full-time jobs outside of wrestling. To me, that doesn't say all that much for the health of the industry.
Exactly, and you got a lot of people like that want to come to NXT because of Triple H. You know what I mean? Look at all the independents that say, come. You know what I mean? There's so many stars that want to come to NXT now because of Triple H.
Right.
And it's just a perfect example, like you said.
I'll say this. I don't think it's the greatest time in the history to be a wrestling fan. I think it's a really interesting time.
Right. I mean, unless you're...
And that's a good thing.
There's maybe a handful of guys that don't need NXT or need WWE, but everybody else does. And Triple H, like you said, is making it happen for these guys, and they love it. And it's, like you said, he's the reason why it's doing so well.
Absolutely. But we had a Monday Night Raw and a SmackDown following the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view to start the great build to all of these pay-per-views coming up.
Yep.
Kicked off with, and I tell you this, for a guy that I'm so big on the potential of, I hate Baron Corbin's character right now. If he wasn't wrestling, sure.
Right.
Pick one or the other. It's
like
just, to me,
head
it's like, you know what?
Do you like his
We don't
head
know what
shaved?
to do with him. I do.
Because I think, look for you?
I think he looked kind of bootleg, the way the hair was
and the
going
hair made
away.
him look
you know
older,
what I mean?
I think he looks younger with it.
I still think that's a guy with the right timing, right storyline, right creative. That's a guy that could be a potential WrestleMania main eventer.
Oh, totally.
I know he was not happy with the video that John Cena Sr. made when he unloaded on Baron, but I'm a big Baron supporter. I'll tell you this, when we tweet that video out, I always include the link to get his WWE Shop merchandise. Let me get a little scratch off there. Baron, I'm big on you, brother, if you're watching that. But no, I'd like the Constable or I'd like Baron wrestling. I don't like both.
Yeah, I totally agree. Hey, at least he's learned how to use the mic with this, he's doing better.
Yeah,
that's
one
thing.
pro to
because
it.
I think he's pretty good in the ring. He's not, he's not bad. He's not the worst, and he's getting better in the ring. But the mic time that he's getting doing this gimmick, I think is really good for him.
I'd like to see him a little thicker. He physically kind of reminds me of Jake.
Yeah.
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah, he's not this
tall,
ripped
slanky.
up. Yeah. He's not ripped up. He's just there. He's a big body.
Right. He's just there.
Yep. Yeah. With that, they kicked off with Braun and Roman coming out, then Constable coming out, Corbin, and we seen that at the Crown Jewel pay-per-view November 2nd, it's going to be a three-way between Brock, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman.
Big time match.
Yeah.
That's one I look forward to seeing.
I definitely think so too. Seeing all three guys go in the ring, see what happens, and then Corbin challenged.
I only would have waited until after the Australian pay-per-view to announce it.
To announce it, yeah.
I mean, and the fans in Saudi Arabia,
some people are going to get,
they're almost forced to go.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not like you have to worry about ticket sales.
Exactly. It's true.
But, like I said, it's a match I want to see.
Yeah, me too. I totally do. Three big guys,
Yeah.
three of the biggest names in WWE. Let's see what happens. And then Corbin challenged for the Universal Championship against Roman after all that was said. So we'll continue.
Good match.
Yeah.
It was a really good main event for Raw with Roman defeating Corbin and retaining the title. I already shared my thoughts on what I think of the character right now.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think we see a little too much of Dolph and Drew and Seth and Dean throughout the Raw.
Just like the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think it was a little too much overkill with them, but what are you going to do? We can't have everything, right?
You know what? You have to look at 1997.
And you got to remember also is Dolph and Drew. I mean, Dolph had a match, Drew had a match, and then they were out there. They were out there for at least
just
5
the
or 6
pay-per-view. They were out there a couple of times. In 1997, the reason the Attitude Era was so successful was because they took the time, by force, because of WCW, to make new stars, new talent. Where they have so much TV time now, it is a sin that they have guys on repetitively throughout these shows when they could try and come up with something unique for everybody involved. I know we have different thoughts on Vince Russo. I'll say the one thing I always thought that was good about Vince Russo was that he always tried to come up with something for everybody on the roster.
Story.
Wasn't always necessarily the greatest.
But everybody had a story.
But when you have so many guys right now that are sitting on the sidelines that do nothing, you have other talent that are out there several times a show, I don't like it.
And yeah, exactly. And just what we were talking about is you have guys that you don't even see on Raw. Like, where'd the B team go? They're just gone now.
Right.
They weren't there. They were a part of the show. Now they're gone because they don't have a story right now. See, Vince Russo made people always have something. Always did something. That's what I liked about him. I know me and you don't agree on him.
The problem with him was he'd come up with ideas and then he wouldn't know what direction to go in with them. He you know what he reminds me of almost? I don't know if you know this, but I'm a big fan of horror movies.
Okay.
A lot of horror movies you watch, they start off with a great idea for what the concept of the movie is, but then once you're about a half an hour in, it's like, okay, what the fuck are we going to do with the rest of this movie?
Yeah,
it started off great. It had some great jump scares, but they don't know what to do with the middle, And then they really screw up the end, and you leave the movie theater like, oh, this was awful.
Yeah, some storylines were like that, but your big storylines always had a payoff, and they were always good. Why do you think? I think, honestly, that's why I like him so much, is that his big storylines always had a great payoff. They did. Look at the ratings. I mean, we don't have to go down this road right now. We can do it some other time, but I'll always go with the ratings. The ratings were the best. My age people, what do they always refer to? The Attitude Era.
Right,
They don't say 2002, they don't say 2007 or 1994. They say the Attitude Era. Who wrote that? You know? And that's why I defend him, and I always will.
Well, there are a lot of people that knock him. There are things about him I knock, but I also don't take away from his success. I think that's the only fair way you can look at it. If you're going to look at someone for their worst attributes, you should look at him at their best, too.
Right, and I mean,
a lot of people don't. They
some of the
just
champions
hammer
we
him.
got in his writing probably wouldn't have happened if he wasn't writing. Do you think Mick Foley would have ever been a champion?
That's probably a different episode.
Right.
Yes, I do.
All right, we'll get off that subject. But I just was, you know what I mean? Give an example.
The roster is underutilized.
Yeah, totally.
I guess is the best way to sum that up.
Totally.
And I think it's unfortunate. I think it would make the shows much more interesting if everybody was doing something as opposed to the top few guys are doing way too much because they're overexposed as it is on TV 52 times a week, 52 weeks a year. They're overexposed on TV that much.
It is true. It's true. Totally. And so we'll move along. I mean, there was some stuff. I mean, we had the Chad Gable versus Victor match.
You were really big on that.
I thought it was a great match. Everybody out there, I bet the wrestling fans will definitely agree. Victor showed a lot in that match. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, that's me. I know you don't care about him so much. I mean, Chad Gable is lost in the shuffle, so for him to actually do something was great. But that's all I'll say. The next thing up was the Undertaker promo.
I don't even get to share my comments on that?
Because you already told me him. You told me you didn't care and you laughed at it.
No. All right, let me be more specific then. I think
tell.
the Ascension is maybe the worst act in WWE right now. They are atrocious.
I
hate the Ascension.
Totally
you told
agree.
me in NXT when they were presented different, they were pretty good. To me, they killed Ascension when they did that segment on one of the anniversary shows of Raw when they had the New Age Outlaws and the Acolytes beat them up.
Oh, yeah. I totally agree.
And I think that castrated them and they never recovered from it.
And they haven't. But I was just saying, to see Victor in a singles match, and he did well in it, I think so at least. Maybe disagree, whatever.
I think Gable is one of the most underutilized guys they have.
I don't know
think
if
the
I'm
problem with him is I think he belongs on the Cruiserweight show.
That, and I don't think him with Bobby Roode is a good gimmick. Like, I know you've been saying Bobby Roode should be heel, and I totally agree. Him and him together, I don't see it. It doesn't work for me.
They killed Bobby Roode putting him on Raw.
Right.
Yeah. He excelled in NXT. He was an upper, solid mid-card hand on SmackDown.
Yeah.
He is maybe not, I wouldn't even call him a top 10 guy on Raw.
No.
They're not utilizing him to his capacity.
No, totally.
It's not like he's a young guy they're going to groom for several years down the road. He's in his 40s.
It's got to happen now.
Yeah.
And then from there, I mean, the Undertaker promo was probably a highlight.
That was
announcing
good.
that Kane's going to be in his corner at the October 2nd Super Showdown.
At least he didn't come out and say the same thing he did in the last promo.
Exactly.
No, Undertaker's work in these two appearances I thought were both very, very good.
Very good. Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. We had Bayley versus Dana Brooke. I mean, I'm not even going to go over how
the
he
big
felt.
split that nobody cared
cares
about.
about?
Dana
Exactly.
Brooke isn't with Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews anymore. Jeez. Wow. I better tune in next week to find
Just
out
to
what
go over
happened.
it, Bayley
Those
won.
they were together for so long, and then they didn't even have a breakup on TV. They just announced, hey, you know what? We came up with a better idea.
Exactly.
It seems like every woman on that roster at some point has to be the assistant to someone wearing glasses and a notebook. Did you ever notice that?
Yeah, I mean,
I hate that character.
Yeah. Hey, but just for people that are looking for results, Bayley won that, beat Dana Brooke.
Big match.
Yeah, great match. AOP versus an enhancement talent match. I don't know if you've seen any of that.
I love enhancement matches.
The only thing I want to say about that, okay, so you do like that.
Love them.
Okay, so you...
I do 1 an hour.
Oh, yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Specifically, when you do the enhancement matches,
So
you're
back in the
able to
daylight.
get the guys' moves over, and especially their finishing moves. There's so many guys nowadays, you don't know what their finishing moves are anymore.
And beyond the match, what do you think of Drake Maverick with them?
Awful.
Awful, okay.
Awful. Maybe if he wasn't doing the
that's
general
what I was gonna say.
manager.
He's a general manager at Cruiserweight,
Fine.
205 Live.
I like Paul Ellering a lot more.
Yeah, me too.
Those two are very good but they need a third. They
and
need
it doesn't
something.
make any sense with Drake. I don't see
Yeah,
anything
there's no chemistry.
Right.
It's just kind of forced.
And then we move
And
on.
but you know what? Is it better than a woman? Because just about any time, you know what? We'll get him over if we put a woman with him.
Honestly, you know who
And
would
most
actually
of the
be
time,
kind of
those
cool?
fault are bad.
But you know who kind of
Cool.
would be cool for a woman is Tamina. I think she wouldn't be bad with him.
That would be kind of a
I think a cool
look.
visual because she's bigger. She's a bigger woman.
Maybe Nia.
I don't know. I like Nia. I think Nia's getting better as a wrestler. I know how you feel about her. We'll just leave it at that. I don't want to get into that. I don't.
My wiener has a first name. It's
okay,
SCAR.
enough. All right. The WWE IC title match. It was the Intercontinental title match between Seth and Dolph. He did his clause to get the title match when Corbin told him to.
Out of the 9,000 matches they've had over the past couple of months, every week, this one was pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah.
I always liked Seth, and I always liked Dolph.
And I love the curb stomp. I think it's a great maneuver.
I'm glad they
move.
allow that again.
Yep. And then from there, I mean, we had the Ronda little confrontation with the Riot Squad. I don't know. I think Ronda took a great spear by Ruby Riott. I thought that was a great spear. She took it well.
Despite my dislike of it, I'll say this. It was a good way to get a little heat on Ronda.
Right.
By having the three of them beat her up.
And it's basically building to the...
But then you send out...
The Bellas.
Just awful. Awful. Those
Yeah.
fake-looking punches.
Yeah.
And, one thing I've noticed that I think more girls do go to the shows now, but they're the only ones you hear cheer, a lot of them, if you really listen to the crowd sounds.
Yeah, some things are just so hokey. I get it. I totally do.
Sickening. But
Right.
at least she didn't try any planches like she was the Undertaker this week. Poor Brie fell on her face twice in the big comeback match.
Bad. From there,
Poor Birdie.
Elias came out, started playing a little song, and then he got interrupted by your guy, Lio Rush.
Hey,
How'd you
Leo's
feel?
your guy, too.
Oh, he is, but I know
you drove him to SmackDown.
Yeah, we did. It was a good time. Leo, how do you feel about him doing all this?
He has got personality and charisma galore. I would have loved to have done so much more with Leo in the Millennium Wrestling Federation. I'm proud to say at least he was in this studio along with Velveteen Dream a couple of summers ago. He's perfect for the Cruiserweight division. In the character they've created, the 23-year-old piece of gold, is almost like the old school boxing manager type guy. I think it's great. It confuses me a little because it's a heel character, kind of putting him with Bobby Lashley, another great human being we've had here in the MWF. Bobby doesn't exactly exude personality. I think Bobby's at his best when he's a badass. If Bobby was going full-fledged heel, it would make a little bit more sense to me. Like I said to you before we went on the air, I think eventually friction will grow between Leo and Bobby, and Leo will go with someone else to feud with Bobby. Who that is, I don't know. No. That's just an educated guess from watching way too much wrestling in my life.
I think a lot.
But it was good.
Yeah.
I loved all the little spots that Leo did. It wasn't overdone yet. Is it something, if they do it every week, is it going to be overdone?
Right.
Yes, absolutely. But for the first time they did it, yes. Should Elias and Kevin Owens have sold for Lio Rush when they threw him over the top rope? No. No. Either one of them could have caught him. Never mind both of them.
Oh, I totally agree. I just got to get this in there. I think the best line of that whole segment was when Elias says, "Whose kid is this?"
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. It had me rolling. I thought it was fantastic just because, you didn't expect him to say it, and when he did, it was awesome.
One thing I'll say has grown on me that we used to disagree a lot about is Elias. I think his segments have gotten over huge. The problem with him is, once the bell rings, nobody cares. There's not much substance there. As far as the build-up, the in-ring segments go, good. Are they starting to make him too much of an idiot? Having himself a
Is that
Leo,
the problem?
Trish Stratus, some of the other women that hit him? I don't like that.
So how do you fix that, though? How do you fix his in-ring? Don't do that stuff you're saying?
He would have benefited in a different generation from a manager. He, obviously, there would be definitely a contrast of styles if they put Lio Rush with Elias.
Yeah, that would.
But Elias needs a Lio Rush much more than Bobby Lashley does. Bobby's over right now. Yeah. But can Elias succeed? He needs a fresh coat of paint. I know everybody likes the song and they like to chant, We Walk with Elias. Yeah, it's over huge. And he's done a much better job with it than when it first started. I haven't seen much improvement in the matches once the bell rang. What's his finishing move? I know I commented about finishing moves. I can't. Is it the roll of the dice? What does he do?
That's
what he does. Okay. Well, I can't think of one match he had that was good. And I'm not knocking the guy.
No, because you know what? All his matches are they're short too. I mean, he didn't. His match. What was it? Was it the New Year's Day? Or when he had the match with Cena, that wasn't too bad. Remember they had their little few things?
Yeah. Well, I tell you this, and Cena will never get the credit he deserves for the exceptional worker he's turned into. There were several years when he was not that good, where he was all gimmick. But as he has gotten older and matured, he's turned into a hell of a professional wrestler. Yeah. He can carry just about anybody.
Those U.S. Open Challenge matches that he had on Raw were great.
If you look back over the past 10 years or so, you tell me a bad match that Cena's had, maybe even longer than that.
Right.
There was a time when he was throwing those awful-looking punches that people just were sick of, but his work now is exceptional. That U.S. title, Open Challenge, the work he did was absolutely exceptional. I'm not saying that because of my association with John Cena Sr. I'm saying that as an observer of professional wrestling that wants to see as much business generated as possible, and he is a business generator, to say the least.
Definitely.
We're going to be seeing a lot less of him now. That's a shame. But it'll make his appearances going forward that much more meaningful. He will not be overexposed.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Unless you watch a lot of his movies.
Movies, exactly. From there, we have another women's tag team match, Alicia Fox and Mickey versus Ember, and the returning Nia Jax.
That was a good one, yeah.
You loved it, I know you did.
At least it was quick.
Yeah, exactly. Ember and Nia got the win in that match. And now we're going to go on to the WWE Universal Championship match between Constable Corbin and Roman Reigns.
I thought that was a great match. I just hate the way Corbin's character is presented. He should either wrestle or be a constable, not both. But I thought the match was great. Roman sold his ass off to make Corbin look good. And I tell you this, what I just said about John Cena, in another 8-10 years, people should be saying the same thing about Roman Reigns.
Oh, I totally agree.
Matches are very underrated because people don't like the diehard fans, I should say, not the majority of the fans. The diehard fans don't like the presentation and him being overpushed the way he is.
Exactly. I mean, I like Roman too.
But again, another guy, when was the last bad match he had?
I think he works great.
Yeah.
And he cuts good promos. I mean, his promos aren't the strongest, but they're, I think they're not bad. They're not the worst.
I'd rather see him presented strong, direct, and angry. When he starts trying to do the jokes is when they lose me a little.
Right, but I think a lot of the fans just want to go and boo him. I think
maybe
that's
they want to be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, they pay their tickets, so they feel like they can turn the show any way they want. That's how I feel. And, I thought the match, we got another appearance from, like we were saying, Dolph and Drew and Seth and Dean, which is too much. I think they could have just had the match, and that was fine. But other than that, Roman hit Corbin with the spear, and Roman retained the title.
In a really, really good match.
Definitely was.
Again, totally Corbin doesn't get a lot of credit. He can be hit or miss sometimes when he's in the ring. But I tell you this, the main event on Raw was a big-time hit. That was a good match for those two.
Yep, I totally agree. Going to SmackDown?
What do we got from SmackDown?
SmackDown, first thing.
Tulsa, Oklahoma, baby.
Uh-oh.
The Box Center, I believe, is Tulsa. Or is that Oklahoma City?
You got me.
You know me with those venues. I've been to so many.
We kicked it off with Miz TV, and Miz came out and basically pointed to the screen, and we're going to have Daniel Bryan versus The Miz at October 2nd, Super Showdown. It's going to be for whoever wins that. It's going to get a shot at the WWE Championship, which is actually pretty cool.
I think either one of those guys would provide for a fresh, interesting match for AJ if he's still the champion.
Yeah, totally agree.
I could almost see a Bryan-AJ match being held off to a WrestleMania, but, Survivor Series is a big one for him, too.
Yeah, I do. I definitely think so.
I'd like to see Brie Bella eliminated
me
from
too.
the equation.
Yeah.
One thing Maurice, I think, is she helped Miz an awful lot get over to the level he's at.
And that little
Miz was kind of lost for a year or two when he did the Sandow thing.
Right. But it was good.
But nobody cared in the end of the day. He would look like an idiot. For Sandow, it was a good gimmick.
Yeah.
It dragged Miz down in the process. But it just seems like once they brought Maurice into his equation, his stock really started to rise.
He's one of the best promo guys in the.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. Yeah. I think he's great. He's great.
I don't need to see Brie mode anymore.
No,
right? Save it for Birdie.
Good with that.
Okay?
Yeah,
right.
totally.
Or the mother.
Then we move on. We had Cesaro versus Kofi.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was a good match. I thought I got a kick out of Sheamus taking selfies during the match. He took one, put on Instagram of him giving it. I thought it was pretty cool.
You know, people say, oh, you knock this, you knock that. Sheamus is one that I always couldn't stand watching. He bored me to death. Ever since they put him with Cesaro, he's really grown on me. I love that tag team.
He's got personality.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing with him.
Yeah.
Because he's always could do it in the ring, but he didn't have the personality.
He's really grown on me.
Yeah.
And I'm happy about that. Again, it can show that guys, like just say an Elias, that can come off as pretty stale, they can evolve into something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Cesaro won that match with the neutralizer just to, give the finish.
I miss Cesaro's song, though, when he came out and did
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I like the bar. I think that's pretty cool.
It is. Yeah, they're a really good routine right now.
And then backstage we had English and Rusev go in it because they lost they didn't get to win the championships, and Rusev basically blamed it on English. So we had the next match was the U.S. Championship between Rusev and Nakamura for the U.S. Championship, and it went from there. Did you got to see it?
I tell you, has Shinsuke, has his stock gone down since turning heel or what?
Yeah, I totally agree.
And I tell you this, funny enough, we just mentioned Mizdow, Sandow, and The Miz. Remember how they split them up? And then once they split them up, they had absolutely no idea what to do with them. That is exactly what's going to happen with Rusev and Aiden English. I don't know if this is a fact, but I'm going to guess that one is going to lack a lot of direction, and then Aiden English is really going to be lost in the shuffle.
Well, they are definitely going to have some kind of payoff because near the end of the match, Aiden got on the apron and started chanting Rusev Crush, distracted him, got the roll off, but the big payoff was after the end of the match when Aiden English turned on Rusev and beat him with the microphone. I thought that was pretty good heat that he got, and it could go somewhere from there. So there's a little bit of a story there.
What was the big payoff to Miz and Sandow?
I mean, you're going to go there.
You can't remember it. That was my only point, was that you don't remember it.
Well, I mean, I think WWE...
Hopefully that's not the case. I'm just saying,
Well, the thing is, remember, they didn't use Sandow after that. After all that, they didn't use him anymore. Remember, he was released, went to Impact, all that? They didn't.
Well, he left over a year later.
But they didn't use him, I'm saying. Remember, he went into the...
He started doing the thing where he was tag teaming with Curtis Axel as Hulk Hogan.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
And then what stopped them was they couldn't use the pretend Hulk Hogan anymore because of Hogan's issue.
Exactly.
Yeah. But hopefully that isn't the case, because I think English, even though he's kind of a comedy, he's someone that deserves a comedy gimmick. And that's not taking anything away from his talents.
This?
Aiden English.
Oh, yeah.
But he's not a top-tier main event guy.
No, not at all.
But he's a good hand.
Yeah.
And giving him that comedic gimmick has gotten him over 10,000 times more than he was when he was, what was their name? Him and Gotch?
Oh,
we don't even remember the name. They were over so little.
Oh,
what was the tag team's name? English and Gotch.
Simon Gotch. Oh, my God.
The Vaudevillains.
The Vaudevillains. There you go.
People liked him in NXT, but could there have been a more bland tag team in WWE? And now look at how over English is. I hope my worry with what's going to happen to him doesn't happen.
Right. Hey, you never know. But for the winner of the match, obviously, it wasn't Rusev Day.
It was not Rusev Day.
It was Nakamura Day.
It was Rusev Day, but it was not the man that was the victor.
No. Going on from there, we had AJ Styles versus Cian Almas. I don't know how you feel.
That should have gone on last.
That was a fantastic match, yes.
I tell you this, I couldn't stand Almas when he was in NXT.
Right.
I think he is phenomenal, no pun intended, phenomenal on SmackDown.
Yeah.
He's the guy I would groom for a main event spot.
Yeah.
I'm that high on him.
Oh,
and I was not in NXT. He bored me.
Yeah.
Sometimes putting guys in different positions in different places, it has a different end result.
He's believable, too, as the gimmick he's doing. He's very, you know what I mean? He's very good at the facials that he gives, the story he tells in the ring, and I think AJ and him put on great matches.
I would have liked to have seen him around in 2010 when they came up with the idea for Alberto Del Rio. Yeah. And I would have liked to have seen Almas not change his name, but just play that type of a character.
Right.
I think he would have pulled it off better than Del Rio. Because to me, I enjoy him a lot more than Del Rio.
Yeah. I agree with you. I could see that, definitely. But like we said, it was a great match. And then from there...
Caesar the Lion has been big on giving me the wrap-up signal.
Well...
Okay.
Well, from there, just to go quick, we had Asuka versus... oh, my God. Billie Kay.
Oh.
And we know how that went.
They're just the Australian Bellas. I don't see anything in the Iconics.
No.
And talk about Asuka being the forgotten soul.
Beating with the Asuka lock. Other than that, we finished with, like you just said, shouldn't have been the main event, but it was. It was Becky Lynch and Charlotte had a promo going over everything about it, and, you know.
Good feud. The promo's already been done.
Right. We didn't need that as the finish. I would have had, like you said, the AJ match, but can you do? And just quick, the Mixed Match Challenge kicked off this week.
I missed that one.
I know you didn't check it out. I did. Ember was a late fill-in for Alexa, so it was Braun and Ember.
Oh, they didn't even have the regular?
No,
Oh.
Alexa got hurt, so she's injured, so they brought Ember, and it was great. Braun Ember versus Natty and KO. The finish was Braun had Ember on top of his shoulders and did the Eclipse to her to Natty, and then from there we had Jimmy Uso and Naomi versus AJ and Charlotte. AJ and Charlotte went over. Charlotte put Naomi in the figure 8, and that's how it went down. That's so far. We got 2 matches. Like we said, 205 Live isn't on Tuesdays anymore. It's on Wednesdays at 7. They're switching it so they can do this Mixed Match Challenge thing.
You know, I think Mixed Match Challenge, it's more overexposed talent.
But I think
but
it's
a unique concept.
But it's fun to watch.
And it's on a different platform, which I think is kind of cool on Facebook.
Right, you can't actually watch it on TV. You watch it on Facebook Watch.
But I have to be honest, and I'm glad that people enjoy it. There is nothing about that I want to see.
No?
I'll let you tell the people about it.
Okay, well,
I know you get
telling
excited
you guys every
about it.
week about it. I think it's fun. It's a fun watch. It's a quick watch. And you get to see the wrestlers in a different element. Because then, you know, it's man and women. It's a mixed tag. I think it's good.
Well, as they would say, that's the way God wanted it to be. You'd have to ask Father Jurgen Elias about that, but that's a different story.
I'll leave that up to
for
you.
a different time. Fans are running out of time again. The Patreon's coming. The Cornerstone Mega Raffle is going on now, along with the merchandise bundles. Mr. USA Tony Atlas is back October the 19th. For my good friend, MWF associate, Mr. David Carter, I'm Dan Marati. We look forward to hopefully seeing you next week on this program with more Wrestling Insiders. I'm Dan Marati.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Let us tell you how the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation can help raise cash for your nonprofit cause. Experience the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation live in your city, throughout New England, the tri-state area, down through the Carolinas, out to our friends in the Midwest and beyond.
If your nonprofit organization is looking for an interactive turnkey experience while putting the fun into fundraising, you've met the perfect tag team partner to work with every step of the way.
The MWF offers a variety of packages for groups of almost any size, from our live events at the Boston Garden, the Kowloon Entertainment Dining Complex, and the legendary Suffolk Downs, to high school gyms and function halls. We've presented live events everywhere and anywhere.
Since 2001, the MWF's mission has been simple: keep the kids off the streets. Under the leadership of President David Reese, we bring the superstars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow to your town. Not for a wrestling show, but an event that features action-packed in-ring wrestling, autograph, pose photo opportunities, Q&A sessions, and so much more. It's the best of sports and entertainment. The week of your event, we can add on to the endeavor with anti-bullying campaigns, library meet and greet reads, youth sport concussion seminars, and more.
Our live events are fit for fans of any age from 5 to 95. This fall is part of our new Kids Club program. We offer live event experiences exclusively for the youngest of fans. On the flip side, we can produce a tailor-made event for fans of an older demographic as well. We work with you every step of the way to get the word out to fans near and far on our local television offerings and to over 50,000 fans and growing on our social media platforms.
Your success is our success. If your group has had enough of candy bar and wrapping paper sales and has the energy to team with our passionate fan base, bringing the NWF experience to your community is the answer to put smiles on faces while raising cash for your cause.
Contact us today to get the ball rolling for your custom-made event that you'll want to bring back year after year to your community.
Don't just take it from us. Here are the folks we've teamed up with in the past: